Did you know humans once raced to reach the stars? Let's talk about the space race, a thrilling competition between the United States and the Soviet Union to explore space. In the 1950s, the United States and the Soviet Union were rivals in something called the Cold War. They didn't fight with weapons, but competed in other ways, like building better technology. They saw space as the next big stage to show off their skills and prove who was better. Each nation poured money and effort into training scientists and engineers. They built huge rockets and tested them in secret facilities. Scientists and engineers who once made weapons now worked to reach the stars. This rivalry pushed technology forward faster than ever before. It also captured the world's imagination as people wondered, who could get there first? Both nations faced pressure to succeed, as failure could weaken their global image. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union sent a shiny ball called Sputnik 1 into space. It was the first time people put something into space. It proved the Soviets were very good at building rockets. This moment started the space age. Sputnik 1 was also the first satellite to orbit Earth. It made beeping sounds as it flew around Earth, and people everywhere could hear it. The beeps made them feel excited and a little scared. Now, everyone knew we could send things far from our planet. People in America were surprised and worried, knowing a Soviet satellite is flying above them. The news shocked the whole country. The Soviets had done something big before anyone else. This was called the Sputnik moment. This event led to a widespread perception that US were falling behind in space and technology, and it made them want to catch up fast. The Soviets did not stop. They sent another satellite, Sputnik 2. This time it carries a dog named Laika. She was the first living creature in space, proving animals could survive the trip. The Soviet rockets worked very well. They could send things into space again and again. This showed the world their rockets were strong and reliable. The US felt behind and quickly created NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, in 1958 to catch up. It brought together scientists, engineers, and even pilots to work on space missions. NASA's creation united the nation's efforts to compete in the space race and explore the universe. Building rockets and spacecraft cost billions of dollars, a huge amount of money that could have built thousands of schools or hospitals. The US government invested these billions because space was seen as critical for science and national pride. At the end of the 1950s, the race got even more exciting. The Soviets, after their Sputnik success, decided to try sending a person into space. This was a huge challenge. They needed new rockets and special equipment to keep someone safe in space. Everyone waited for the big day. On April 12, 1961, Yuri Gagarin, a young pilot from the Soviet Union, became the first person to travel around Earth in space. This was a huge moment in history. Gagarin rode in a spaceship called Vostok 1. He went all the way around the planet in just 108 minutes. This trip changed how people saw the world. When Gagarin came back safely, the Soviet Union was very proud, and people everywhere were amazed. Gagarin became a hero all over the world. There were parades and celebrations. The Soviets were now leading the space race. The United States felt worried. They knew they had to work hard to catch up. NASA started working faster on their own space program. They wanted to show that America could do great things too. The Soviets kept making history. They did not stop after Gagarin. Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space, another big first for the Soviet Union. Soon after, Alexei Leonov did the first spacewalk. He floated outside his spaceship in space. Each new step kept the Soviets ahead. People, and even kids everywhere, dreamed about exploring space. The Americans knew they needed to do something big. They wanted to not just catch up, but go even further. The next big goal was clear: to reach the moon. The challenge? Getting to the moon was like aiming for a moving target 384,000 kilometers away. Rockets needed to be precise, and astronauts had to train for years to handle emergencies in space, like fixing a broken spacecraft far from home. To send people in space, America started Project Mercury, NASA's first program ever. 7 brave test pilots were chosen. They were called the Mercury 7. These astronauts became heroes in America. Alan Shepard was the first American to go to space in May 1961. After him, John Glenn went to space too. John Glenn flew all the way around Earth in 1962. His flight showed that America could do what the Soviets did. Every Mercury mission taught NASA something new about space. They learned how to travel in space safely. The Mercury 7 were very brave. They trained hard to fly in space, learning to handle tiny capsules and survive weightlessness. Their work helped America get ready for bigger space missions. Now, America was a strong competitor in the space race. the race was not over yet. To get to the moon, NASA had to learn new things. They had to test longer space flights, to step outside the ship into cold space, and to link two spacecraft together. Project Gemini helped them practice. Two astronauts worked together and learned what was needed for moon trips. Some astronauts stayed in space for up to 2 weeks. They did the first American spacewalks. They learned how to meet and connect spaceships in space. The program faced challenges like perfecting re-entry and landing safely back on Earth. But Gemini was a success, and these missions proved NASA could do it. Gemini was very important, even if people talk more about Mercury or Apollo. Gemini's progress showed the US that NASA was ready for its biggest mission ever. The moon was so close now. In 1961, President Kennedy said, "Let's go to the moon." This started Project Apollo, and it made US people excited to explore space. The big goal was to send a person to the moon and bring him back safely. It was not just about putting a flag on the moon, it was about showing what people can do when they work hard and never give up. To do this, NASA built a giant rocket called Saturn V. It was the biggest and most powerful rocket ever made. The Saturn V rocket carried brave astronauts on their journey. They were ready to take big risks to help everyone learn more about the universe. But going to the moon was not easy. Something very sad happened. There was a fire on Apollo 1 and 3 astronauts lost their lives. This showed that space travel can be dangerous. After the accident, NASA worked hard to make the spacecraft safer. They wanted to make sure the astronauts would be safe. They kept testing and fixing until everything was just right. Engineers and astronauts trained again and again. NASA did not give up, and their hard work paid off. The next crewed mission was Apollo-7 in 1968. It stayed in Earth orbit and was a success. It proved the new spacecraft was safe and ready. Apollo 8 was the next big step. Astronauts flew around the moon and came back safely. This showed that people could travel far from Earth and return. It helped everyone get ready for the first moon landing. During this trip, the astronauts took a famous picture called Earthrise. It showed our planet as a small, beautiful ball in space. People saw how special Earth is. Now, it was time for the biggest moment. On July 20th, 1969, everyone watched and waited. Something amazing was about to happen. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed their spaceship on the moon. It was a very special day. People all over the world cheered and felt proud. Before Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, he said some famous words. "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." These words meant that this was a big moment for all people on Earth. The whole world shared this moment together. It was a time of wonder and joy. America had won the race to the moon. They planted a US flag, collected rocks, and returned safely. The Soviets tried for the moon but faced technical problems and never landed humans there. Apollo was not just about winning, it was about science, working together, and being brave. Many people helped make it happen. The astronauts and everyone who worked on Apollo were heroes. Their moon landing made kids everywhere dream big. Many wanted to become scientists, engineers, or astronauts. Apollo showed that when people work together, they can do amazing things. Curiosity and teamwork can take us far. The space race ended with a great achievement, but the story did not stop there. Apollo helped us get ready for new adventures in space. There was still so much more to discover. New missions, new friends, and new dreams were waiting. There's more to explore in the unknown. The Soviet Union tried to beat America to the moon. They wanted to send a person there first. They worked in secret to land a cosmonaut on the moon. Their rocket was called the N-1. It was even bigger than the American Saturn V rocket. But the N-1 rocket failed many times. The main rocket designer, Sergei Korolev, died suddenly. Without him, the team had no leader. There were lots of problems with the rocket. People on the team argued and could not agree. After 4 big failures, the Soviets stopped trying to go to the moon. They kept their failed moon plan a secret for many years. The world did not know about it at first. Later, people found out the truth. The race to the moon was very close and very hard for both sides. Space travel is never safe. Rockets can be very dangerous. Every mission could end in disaster. Both countries lost people in space. Apollo 1, Soyuz 1, Soyuz 11, and later, Challenger and Columbia. Astronauts and cosmonauts faced many dangers. There was radiation, microgravity, and the empty, cold space outside. Still, they kept going, because they were brave and curious. Their hard work showed the world that exploring space is risky, but also rewarding. Every mistake helped make space travel safer. We learned a lot from each problem. The first space explorers paid a big price, but we remember them and what they did. After people walked on the moon, countries started working together in space. In 1975, the Apollo and Soyuz spaceships met in space. American and Soviet astronauts shook hands while floating in their ships. This was the start of a new friendship in space. Many things we use today like GPS and soft beds were made because of space travel. But the best thing is learning to work together. Now, astronauts from many countries live and help each other on the International Space Station. They share what they learn and look at Earth together as one big family. The space race showed us that trying hard helps us grow, but working together takes us even farther. Space belongs to everyone. Together we can reach the stars.